Welcome to this episode of Texan on Tour. In this episode, we're in Houston, Texas. Join us as we enjoy a great brunch at a place named after a Russian witch. Then, we're off to be baptized in beer at the St. Arnold's Brewery. For lunch, we're going to check out Houston's amazing food truck scene and finally jump back in time at the DeLorean factory. All in this episode of Texan on Tour. Howdy, y'all. I'm Matt Miller. I spent my life on the open road, meeting, eating, and defeating the 9-to-5s with the good folk I came across. So come on the road with me as we hit the next stop on this episode of Texan on Tour. Now, Texans and Russians have both been known to tell some pretty tall tales. And Slavic folklore tells the tale of Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, or woman as it were, a haggardly gal who flies around in a mortar wielding a pestle and tends to eat children. Well, I'm in the mood for a little bit more conventional breakfast fare, so that's why we're here at Baba Yaga's, the restaurant. Baba Yaga's is a Houston icon and has been cooking up the best breakfast, brunch, and lunches now for over 40 years. Their loyal fan base is all too eager to let you know that Baba Yaga's is where to go.
Oh, we first started coming here. It was just a small place. It was one of the only places you could get vegetarian food and fresh food.
This is like the place we like to come for brunch, like, no doubt.
The jalapeno grits are amazing.
The salads are always fabulous.
The waffles with the bananas and everything. So, and yeah, of course, if we're gonna bring friends over, you have to hang out with the parents.
And plus they have mimosas, so.
I had to know more, so I sat down with their manager, the beautiful Miss Molly's. So nice place, Molly. Houston's the sprawling metropolis. This is the sprawling restaurant.
I know, and we grew just like Houston did. We used to be in just a small house, and the owner just kept buying a little more, and we just got bigger and bigger.
So tell me, I mean, what was the Baba Yaga?
The owner actually got the name off a Emerson, Lake and Palmer album, and it was just a bar, really. There was no food. And then in just the next couple of years, he added sandwiches on, and by 79 or 80, it only took a few years, and the place was booming.
So wait, 79 to 80?
Huh?
I mean, that means that you guys started in like
75, 40 years, yeah, 40 years.
40 years.
This December, yeah.
You know, that's a record for restaurants.
I know, it really is. And we've never really done much advertising. It's usually word of mouth. We still have people coming in here from the 80s and 90s that still come in here.
I mean, what is it? Saturdays and Sundays are like the big...
Yeah, Sunday's a big brunch, and then Saturday is breakfast only. So we do a nice spread on breakfast, and then through the week we have a buffet every day too that changes. So the fruit is great. We have things that people don't normally have. We have papaya and mango out there that you don't see usually on fruit spreads. So it's awesome. Everything's really good, really good.
Well, we're looking forward to some good breakfast.
Good.
All right.
Glad to have you. All right.
Having an empty belly, Molly didn't have to ask me twice. I had a plan, and that plan included a head-on tackle of Baba Yaga's bountiful brunch buffet, complete with waffle and omelet stations, and one equally lengthy fruit bar. I did, however, have to pass on the mimosas, as I figured alcohol might have a role yet to play in this episode. But racked and stacked, I sat and started packing it in, and it was delicious! Dog! You need to grab your mama and take her down there, I'm telling you. Whew! Well, that was a pretty good breakfast here at Baba Yaga's. Now it's time to hit the town, see what Houston's all about. What's better than a beer for breakfast? A beer after breakfast, and that's why we're here in downtown Houston at the St. Arnold's Brewery. St. Arnold's is Texas's oldest craft brewery and is named after the patron saint of brewers. Now, you'd probably expect them to have giant brew tanks, groups of avid beer fans being educated by brewmasters, and huge stacks of beer. But would you expect a bar with their beer on tap and pub food all served in a giant Bavarian-style beer hall? I had marketing director Jeremy Johnson set up a round so that he could bless me with some knowledge on St. Arnold's. So tell me about the brewery.
Yeah, so we
again, been in Houston since 1994. We're just striving to make the best beers here in Texas. We also have our beers in Louisiana and Florida as well. So just launched in Miami recently. So just trying to make the best beers we can. We like to brew beers that we like to drink. So we hope, you know, other people like that. So.
But you guys are now the oldest craft brewer.
We call ourselves Texas'
Okay.
oldest craft brewery. So
okay.
Just 1994. So that's something we take great pride in, obviously. You know, and back then in the 90s, it was a bit hard to sell Texans on craft beer. So definitely the growth was a little slow early on, but within the past few years, you know, Texas and Houston as a whole, the craft beer scene has just exploded. So it's awesome now to see other breweries around town and around the state and kind of see what everybody else is doing, and while we maintain our own innovation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What about the tours and everything like that? Tell us about the tours here.
Yeah, so we do tours every day but Sunday. So during the week, we open up for lunch at 11 o'clock. That kind of morphs into the tour. The tour itself goes at 3:30. And then on Saturdays, we do 3 tours, 12, 1, and 2. But yeah, we've been doing the tours for 21 years since we started, and it's just kind of grown organically, and we get a lot of regular customers, we get a lot of out-of-town customers as well, and just people that, you know, bring their friends because they came and enjoyed it, and they want to experience it with other people. So,
well, cheers to that.
Yeah, cheers.
Well, let's go on this tour, guys.
Yeah.
So Jeremy took me on a private tour of the facility, showing me each step of the brewing process and the many awards St. Arnold's has won along the way. I also got a sneak peek at all of their new canning equipment as they rolled out a fresh batch of their stellar Oktoberfest line. Now, I've had some really cool jobs in my life, and I'd have to say TV show host tops my list. But being a cheerleader for a brewery? I gotta admit, I'm a bit jealous. Well, that about wraps up the St. Arnold Brewery. Stick around. We got more Texan on tour after the break. Now for some Texas trivia. Houston's not only the most diverse city in the nation, but also the entire world. But just how diverse is it? Well, that's a good question. So that's the basis for today's Texas trivia question. How many different languages are spoken in Houston, Texas? Is it A, 68, B, 73, C, 90, or D, 106? The answer when we return. Now back to our Texas trivia question. So, how many different languages are spoken in Houston, Texas? Well, if you said C, you're correct. Houstonians speak over 90 languages, and the city itself is home to 92 national consulates. Now that's what I call representing. Now, Houston's got a blossoming food truck scene, and we're here at the Houston Food Truck Park to check it out. So let's go try some. Houston's food truck scene is as diverse as the city itself, and none of it would be possible if it wasn't for the creative mind of one Ponce Tirzo. I met the man himself and his sons to get the lowdown. So Ponce, these are your boys.
These are my boys.
All right, what are you? Paul, Gabe, and
Boogie.
Boogie. Yeah. All right, man. So looks like you got a good little representation here.
Yes, sir. We have the best. We have the best in Houston. We have Cousin's Maine lobsters, fresh Maine lobster. We have Dasman, which is the Middle Eastern cuisine. We have toasted, which is sort of like a Salvadorian fusion Texan food. We have these guys here. They're great. The lunchbox, it's sort of Mexican Cuban fusion. It's really cool. They got a real different Middle Eastern concept. Real good. You got Mahalo. There's the authentic Hawaiian cuisine. The Churrasco truck is the authentic Brazilian steak sandwiches. And you got of course, chocolate wasted.
Chocolate wasted.
Chocolate wasted. True to the name. You will get wasted off of chocolate.
All right, cool. Well, I'm interested. What do you say we hit the lunchbox?
Absolutely, you're gonna love it.
Cool. With that, I was introduced to Tuval Baruch and his truck, the Lunchbox. And this is the Biz Nuts, huh?
Those are Biz Nuts, so whenever you're enjoying that, just remember, it's my nuts you're loving right there.
It's his nuts I'm loving, huh?
It's my nuts.
Let's see. That is wonderful. Fried biscuit with that pulled pork and the cabbage and the onions. Oh my goodness. That is a pulled pork sandwich.
Yeah.
How'd you get started doing the Lunchbox?
I've been working in restaurants for about 15 some odd years. And the other two partners wanted to open a food truck, and I wasn't in on it at the time, but I was the only one with enough knowledge, so I kind of helped them out. Instead of focusing on 30 different things to try to make sure everybody's happy, we focus on 6 items to make sure that the people who do come here are happy. And I always tell people, if there's something that I make that you don't like, tell me. I'll make you the whole menu, and if I can't get you happy, I'll buy you something else from another truck. So
boy, that's a guarantee right there.
That ain't nobody gonna give you that kind of guarantee anyway.
Now I'm craving some ice cream, so it was off to Susan Garcia's truck, Chocolate Wasted, where surprisingly, I chose a vanilla concoction. Oh my goodness.
So this is one of our newer flavors.
Here we go. Sweet basil, honey pecan.
The pause.
If money had a flavor you'd want to put in your mouth that didn't taste like cocaine or stripper sweat, that would be it right there.
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
It is.
Okay.
That tastes so, like, just rich. I feel rich right now. Oh,
Nice.
that is really, really good.
Nice.
I swear. I don't know what to say. That tastes like money right there. Cash.
Awesome.
Yeah, I call this cash cream.
I'm gonna have to rename it. I'm gonna have to rename it now.
It needs to be called cash cream.
All
Come
right,
here,
sounds good.
go Chocolate Wasted, and ask for cash cream. That's what this is. I'd recommend this park to anyone, and so do other first-timers. So you guys look like you're having a good time here. Mm-hmm. You are? What are you eating?
Chicken!
Chicken? You guys come here a lot?
No, first time here actually.
What did you try today?
I tried the lobster, the
lobster?
Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
After all, we have the picanha sandwich, we have the
Empanadas.
the empanadas, the dirty Philly was delicious. So
Really?
Yeah, pretty good.
Cool. That's your first time
Yeah. And I went to the Brazilian place.
here? How was it?
It was awesome. I love cows, but it was so good I didn't think about it. I didn't mind eating the cows.
Having gorged myself on so many awesome and thoughtfully prepared dishes, my stomach and I had to take a seat because I darn sure couldn't eat or walk anymore. You come out to the food truck thing, you think you're just gonna get one or two things. You can't. You gotta try everything. And I started this episode at like 2:35, 2:36. I've got to be well up over in the mid 40s now. This is, oh gosh. Man, it's been awesome, dude.
Man,
Thank you so much.
we love having you guys here, and anytime somebody can showcase our food, man, we'll pump it out. Easily.
And
Takes
pump
us
it
5
in.
minutes.
Oh man.
Oh, there's only one problem. You guys aren't keeping up.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Hang in there, folks. We got a fun Texas fact when we return. Here's a fun Texas fact for you. Though long since passed, Houstonian John Milkovich spent 18 years hammering flat over 50,000 beer cans he himself drank in order to cover his entire house with them. The Beer Can House, as it's known today, is now owned and operated by the Orange Show Center for Visionary Art. As for old John, when people ask, "What's your favorite beer?" old John would just say, "Well, whatever's on special, I guess." Always the thrifty artist, Milkovich's creation actually saved him on his monthly electric bill. Shocking. Now, Houston's such a big city. If you haven't got a car, you're not going very far. And that's why we're here at one of the coolest car manufacturers of all time, the DeLorean Motor Company. By now, most know at least a little of the folklore surrounding John DeLorean and his fall from grace. But that's a line for another time. The stranger story is how a mechanic at DeLorean's Los Angeles dealership became the owner of DMC by way of purchasing all the remaining parts from a warehouse in Ohio and building his own factory just north of Houston, Texas. I sat down with owner Steve Wynn as he gave me a little company background and the story of this iconic piece of automobile history. I'm here with Steve Wynn, the owner of DeLorean. Steve, it's a pleasure.
Welcome.
Awesome. So tell me about this operation you got, man.
So DeLorean came out in March of '81, and it was going to be it was the most talked about car before it came out, because John DeLorean was a maverick from General Motors, and he left to do his own thing to make what he was calling the ethical sports car, something that would last longer and just be better than anything else that had been produced. But they actually went from a green field to a factory that was producing cars in something like 25, 26 months, which has just never been done before, and it's never been done since then. And as they were putting the whole facility together to produce the cars, they also finished off on all the pre-production. They contracted with Lotus Cars to do the pre-production development. So basically Lotus took it from a concept to a car that could be made, and then they started delivering cars in early '81. Yeah, and then the company lasted for about 2.5 years. They went into liquidation in December of 1982, and during the time that they were in production, they produced a total of something like 9,300 cars, which is, which was really, a really fine achievement. And when they started producing the cars did have some problems. They had teething troubles, but they had an amazing team. They had the best of the best working for them, and unfortunately they just ran out of time. And of course, they went out of business, and then then by 1985 out comes Back to the Future, a time-traveling movie.
They produced for 2 years.
Yeah.
And a total of 9,000 cars.
Yeah.
I mean, how many are on the road today?
Oh, there's probably somewhere around 7,000. It's tough now because initially all of the cars were for the US market. There was like one boatload of cars that went to the Middle East, but really they were all for the US market. But as the years and economy has changed and emerging economies have come out, it's become a global collector's car. So the cars are dotted all over the world. So, getting back to the original question, how many cars are there? It's really tough now because, we can't go to any one entity like, the Department of Motor Vehicles and get a count, because they're all over the globe. And also, like we even find here in Texas, there are so many cars that are off the radar. I've been in operation in Texas since 87, 88. And there hasn't a month gone by that a car's come into my shop that's been sitting in a barn in Texas that we didn't know about it. And it still happens today. There's a couple of cars around here that just showed up last month that have just been sitting in storage. They weren't titled, they've just been sitting there. And these cars just keep coming back, and we keep bringing them back to life, which is so cool. It's just one of those cars that has, people have a fondness for, that it defies some of the expectations.
I admit I had some expectations of my own, because there was no way I was leaving DMC without a lift back in time. So Steve brought out an extra special version of the vehicle he loves so dearly and took me out cruising. You haven't lived until you get to at least ride in one of these machines, as it was truly exhilarating. Talk about going back in time? Well, I'll tell you what, this TV host sure did feel like a kid again. Well, that was totally cool. Stick around, we got more Texan on tour after the break. Stick around, we got a fun Texas medical fact when we get back. Here's a fun Texas medical fact for you. Houston's Medical Center is the largest medical complex in the world. Houston's Medical Center sees over 10 million patients per year, performs over 180,000 plus annual surgeries, has nearly 10,000 patient beds, over 100,000 employees, and all in all is the 8th largest business district in the United States. It's also home to the world's largest children's and cancer hospitals. So when we say things tend to be bigger in Texas, we ain't kidding. Before we go, I thought it appropriate to give a well-deserved shout-out to Houston's finest and the many members of that group that paid the ultimate price protecting our fair city. Houston's real-life superheroes are brave men and women who serve as Houston police officers. To do this, I decided to take y'all to see an incredibly unique tribute to these fallen heroes, the Houston Police Officers Memorial Park and Monument, located just outside of downtown on Allen Parkway. Designed by Jesus Batista Morales, the monument is a Greek cross with a stepped pyramid at its center, which houses a granite reflecting pool at the top and is engraved with the names of over 100 officers killed in the line of duty. It's our way as Houstonians and Texans of immortalizing those who gave everything protecting us and a constant inspiration for the next generation of heroes.
Well, that's it for this episode. Now remember, TOT doesn't just stand for Texan on Tour. It also serves as a reminder to keep troops, officers of the law, and truckers in your thoughts and prayers. And why? That's simple. Because troops and officers of the law, well, they keep America safe while the truckers keep delivering the goods that keep us going. That's it for this episode of Texan on Tour. Adios, amigos.
Damn it, Charlie! I said I wanted to go to the year 25 million. I pushed the button. Not BC. Oh. And now we're out of gas.
Well, we'll just go to a gas station.
A gas station. A gas station. There's your gas station right there, Charlie. 50 feet tall. Walking around.
Oh, you're a good dinosaur.
Maybe wait a couple million years. We can tank up.
You want to see me go back in time? You want to see it again? And since we had beer after breakfast, let's go to the Houston Food Truck.